Any gamer who is an avid fan of first-person shooters can say they have one game in particular which really got them into the genre. For some, it's Halo Combat Evolved. For others, perhaps it's Call of Duty. For me, however, Medal of Honor Frontline on the GameCube showed me how personal and intense an FPS could be. Released on November 7, 2002, Frontline follows Lieutenant Jimmy Patterson, an agent from the American OSS, Office of Strategic Services, as he fights his way across Europe into Nazi Germany during World War II with the goal of tracking down a rumored Nazi secret weapon.
Jimmy, we need to know what's going on at that base.
The game starts off with the American landing on Omaha Beach during Operation Overlord, and it ends in a frantic escape from an airbase in Gotha, Germany. Along the way, Patterson gets caught up in several other events such as the disastrous Operation Market Garden, sabotaging a German U-boat facility, and others. The story is presented via mission briefings prior to each set of levels. The briefing room setting during these little segments is actually a pretty cool little touch, and while they don't necessarily add much in terms of caring for Patterson, I think it does do a good job of showing just how impersonal and matter-of-fact the motions of war can get. Not to say there aren't little bits of humanity spread throughout the game though, because there certainly are. One of the levels set in a Dutch town really excels at this. Barge into a home and a family having lunch will be shocked. A soldier did literally just interrupt their nom-nom time. And a thin, shaky Dutchman will grab his shotgun and attempt to aid you, with sad and somewhat foreseeable results. Coupling with these bits is the awesome orchestral score, with tracks ranging from bombastic and intense to extremely sober and gut-wrenching. One of my favorites playing during the level Arnhem Nights. The voice acting is also well done, not only from the American voice actors, but the British, Dutch, and German ones as well. While the sound design is overall well done, there are a few hiccups here and there, such as a large explosion or an occasional odd sound placement.
Excellent work, Patterson. This mission was tough, but you've proven yourself to be exceptional. Division's moving on to Beerville. We're replacing you on a special mission. Good luck, Patterson.
Off note though, this was my first exposure to the oh-so-pleasing ping of an M1 Garand's empty clip being pushed out. God, I love that sound. Now I won't lie about going back to an old 6th generation FPS after being used to a modern control scheme. Controlling Patterson feels a bit stiff at times. Using the X button to crouch, having to use the D-pad to cycle through your weapons, and having to use grenades separately, the Z button to reload, and no ability to sprint took some getting used to. Still, the controls are fairly responsive and the layout makes sense for it being an early 6th generation shooter. Now I actually found the best way to play Frontline is to go run and gun, similar to older titles like Doom or Quake. It actually works better than one would think, though near the end when the difficulty spike really gets you, you do have to be more careful with just how sprinty and sporadic your gameplay gets. Level layout is fairly linear in design, with one level near the end literally being on rails. With a few more open segments spread out here and there. It keeps the action going, and there were a few hidden areas throughout with extra ammunition or weapons and such to be found. At times, the level design does feel a bit restrictive, but it's nothing too intrusive upon enjoyment of the game. Outside of the single player, Frontline also has multiplayer for up to 4 players via split screen. Honestly, it's nothing all too special. The multiplayer in Rising Sun is much better, and as kids, my siblings and I never played it all that much. Still, it's a nice little distraction to have, I suppose. Also, cheat codes are here. Things like invincibility, unlimited ammo, and gaining all gold medals on missions allow for some fun toying around after the main game. Nowadays, these would just be annoyingly pointless anti-consumer microtransactions. Medal of Honor Frontline is a solid, good game. It's aged a bit roughly. The enemy AI isn't exactly the smartest thing in the world sometimes. And there are a few levels which kind of feel like they drag on just a bit too long. But it's still enjoyable, and I consider it to be a classic within the FPS genre. I give Medal of Honor Frontline an 8.5 out of 10.